we're asking that you not just focus on the answers, but how is it that they arrived at their answer? So that's why we're having this conversation. In the event that you're not able to, and in any way that you can assist us on the day, remember, we are not going to be present. We cannot see every child. We cannot take all of the responses. So taking you through the presentation so you can have an idea of what the students will be taking through and how best you can assist us while you are taking them, while I am taking them through the process, but you are the one that is present with them. You can assist with asking and fielding the questions as they come in the event we're not able to take all of them. And you know with that is always the case. All right, so for today's session, we're going to be looking at patterns and data analysis. And for the patterns, you will be required to identify and generate patterns, describe patterns in given sequence, complete or extend a given sequence, and analyze data and make predictions. Now, these are pretty straightforward. What numbers in a pattern, when numbers, in a pattern gets larger as the sequence continues, they are in an ascending pattern. Ascending patterns often involve multiplication or addition. Now, if it is the case that you're going to take the students through it, you can ask them, what do you know about patterns? Like, just get a feel of what comes to their mind and give you an example of a pattern or something, and then you can have the conversation to ensure that it is more fruitful when you're having a conversation with them. An example that is given is 5, 10, 15, 20, and we're adding 5 each time. When numbers in a pattern get smaller as the sequence continues, they are in a descending pattern. So we're going like 8, 20, 18, 16, 14, 12, and we're subtracting 2 each time. So the first question is, which number best completes the sequence? So we have 3, 6, 9, 12. You'll try to get a feel of what is happening here when you're looking at it. What happens? Allow them to beat the chest. I realize that is not a thing anymore. They don't count themselves and then add. But whatever method they use, some of the students might know off the bat. And even if they know off the bat what the answer is, what you want to pull from them is how they arrived at the answer, and not just the answer, but how they arrived at the answer. And of course, you know that we're adding 3 each time, and that's how we get the 15. What we're moving on to now is we're asking the students for the 7th term. So we have a few of them. And so what would be the 7th term? And how would you arrive at the 7th term? What would you need to do in order to get there? So you'll have the students go through this process, give them time to work themselves through it. And again, not everyone is at the same pace, and that is fine. Just providing the students with the opportunity to get to that place. You don't want to rush them, but you want to ensure that they understand how we arrived at that place. So counting it out and allow them to see if there are students that need to use counters. If you're going to be going through this with them, allow them to use the counters. That is fine. It's not a race. It's for them to get to the end, to the finish line, and that is the end game. Now, for this one, now it says, what is the rule for the series shown in groups 1 and 2? So again, you just want them to have the conversation. What happens? So we're looking at group 1, we're seeing 4, 3, 2. What is happening each time? Group 2, we're seeing 7, 6, 5. What is happening? Again, you just want to get a feel of what is happening. So there is no question yet. Just look at it and tell me what you notice. What is happening? Allow them to come up with, identify what is happening and tell you what it is that they're doing in order to come up with it. This is not the end of the question though. So we have group 3 now. Is group 3 similar to groups 1 and 2? If yes, why? And if no, why not? We're trying to see if they're noticing what is happening and if they can take it across each group. And then you're given a 4th group. So then they're asked to examine the 4 groups and they're asked now which group does not belong in the group of series and why. So you want them to explain. We started off with 2. They did whatever they needed to do. Then we have group 3 and group 4. And then they're asked to figure that out. Which one doesn't fall into play? And they should be able to tell you that based on what it is that they would have been doing before. But again, it's not so much the answer. The focus is on how they arrived at the answer. So this should be, see it moved. Group 3. All right, this one now. What comes next in the following series? No. When you look at it, what comes to your mind? Looking at this one, what comes to your mind? Because there's 2 ways that you can look at it. Which way is it? How are you looking at it? If I'm not one of the faster students, I'm looking at it as face value. Another student might say, all right, let me try something else. What is your approach, or what do you think the approach is? Anyone? I'm not able to see my screen, see who is typing in the chat. So
I'm not seeing anybody typing in the chat as yet, miss. But
okay.
Teachers, please feel free to open your mic and share with us, okay? You feel free to do so.
The pattern is multiplying 3 by consecutive numbers. So
all right.
3 by 4, 3 by 5. So you see 4, 5, 6, 7. So then you know that the next in the series then would be 8 times 3, because all we're doing is adding 1 to the front number.
All right, I love that. I love the language that you use, consecutive. So we need to ensure that when we're having, thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams or Mr. Williamson?
Williamson.
All right, thank you, Mr. Williamson.
All right.
I want for when you're having the conversation with the students, you are staying true to the content language and ensure that the students are familiar. Sometimes they hear the terms and you take it for granted that they know what these terms mean. So when we say consecutive numbers, what are we talking about? So in explaining or in having them explaining what is happening, ensure that you stay true to the content language and it is being used. So allow them to explain as best as possible, even if it's not nice and tight the way you want it. Ask them the right question in order to get them to see what is happening or to explain what it is that is happening properly. So another way is if I wanted to multiply, which I don't have to because I can already see, as Mr. Williamson would have rightfully stated, that I'm looking at the consecutive numbers and they're being multiplied by 3. So I automatically know what it is. But if I just want to check to ensure that I'm indeed correct, I'm looking at the pattern that is there another way, then this is another way that I can check to see what is happening. Again, we're just going through. Which box will most likely be in the next pattern? They're there. The students, again, they just need to tell you what is happening. What happens each time? So you need to ensure that whatever it is that they're sharing, they are clear with what it is that they're saying, and you are getting a clear response that they understand what it is that they're doing. Now, prior to this, at the lower grades, students should be exposed to the 100 chart. No, there are a lot of patterns in the 100 chart. No, if it is the case that you have never exposed your students to the 100 chart, I would strongly suggest that you do and allow them, if it's even in the morning, you just give them the 100 charts. What you can do, you can print them, laminate them, and allow them to mark off different things and see what it is that they notice. Now, while you're looking at this now, I want you to tell me what you notice about this 100 chart. Tell me some patterns that you see that readily, it's obvious. Now, again, when going through the 100 chart, we want the students to, or we want you to stay true to the content language. We want to ensure that the students understand what it is that you're saying and there's no confusion. So for example, there is no number within a number. There is a digit that we find within a number. So ensure that when you're having the conversation with the students, ensure that you are clear as ever when you are having these conversations with the students. Anyone wants to just open your microphone and share some of the patterns that you're noticing with the 100 chart.
Miss, in each row, the numbers are increasing by 1, but in each column, they're increasing by 10.
Awesome. I love that. Rows and columns. So in each row, they're increasing by 1, but in each column, they're increasing by 10. Tighten up that a little bit for me. Which way am I going to increase by 10? Which direction am I going and increasing by 10? Because if I'm going bottom up, will I still be going by 10? Will I still be increasing by 10? So ensure that you tighten up the language
So
a little bit.
top down, you're increasing by 10. Bottom
Down,
up, you're decreasing by 10.
Top down, you're increasing by 10. Bottom up, you're decreasing by 10. Awesome. Anyone else? If we're going to look diagonally and we're going from left to right, I hope you hear me snapping my finger. If we're going from left to right, what is happening with those numbers? Who can tell me? Diagonally from left to right. What is happening with the numbers?
If you're going from top to bottom diagonally, left to right, then you see that it is in each number is increasing by both the effect of the left to right and the going from left to right in each row, and also by the effect of going by 10, increasing by 10 according to each. Well, the column increase as we move left to right of each column, we see that increase of 1. As we move top down.
Wait. Hold on, Mr. Williamson. Hold on. Let me get my pen here. Go on now. So we're going from here to here. And you say what is happening?
Yes, so as the combination what Miss just explained about moving from left to right and down each row combines when we go across like that. So both are increasing in both fashion.
Aspects.
So it increased by
increasing by 1 and because we're going down by 10. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Is there another way that could be presented though? Is there another way? If you did not get that help in the initial stage, is there another way that could be stated? Because I'm looking at I'm looking at something else. So I'm looking at yes there.
So you are actually from top to bottom, left to right, you're actually increasing by 11.
All right, we're increasing by 11. All right, so if I go from 1, so if 1 plus 11 gives me 12, 12 plus 11 gives me, okay. Anything else you notice then? Anything else? So you realize how much things we can pull out of this, just the 100 chart here, with even using the language. I remember one student saying that the value in the ones place is increasing by 1. That was evident to that child, but even though that was evident, the child would have omitted the other values, but that is still an observation and we still have to accept it as it is. But now guiding the student now to see that, all right, well, if the value in the ones place or the digit in the ones place is increasing by 1, what is happening to the other digits? So we need to see how best we can guide. So now we are going from right now to left. What happens there? Diagonally now, we are going from right to left. What happens there? Anyone? We're going from right to left now. It's increasing by?
By 9.
We're increasing by 9. So just give them as early as possible. If you can, whatever conversation you can have, just give them it and let them pick out some things. Now, at this stage, this is not the stage that we would have looked at odd and even numbers, but this is perfect to do odd and even numbers so the students can see. So you don't have to tell them the digits that end with how do you know an even number? This is even, and what digits you use to identify an even number. This would be easy for them to see. So these are the things. If you're covering it, give them the 100 chart. Allow them to see it for themselves. If they need counters to start off there, then they would gradually see the pattern. But allow them to explore with it as best as possible, and then you can guide the process thereafter. Now, this part here is something that you can do. I would have just simply created this little pattern to my right, give it to them. You can make whatever shape it is that you want to make, and this was just pulled from the 100 chart. So you're trying to ask the students now, what are the different colors and what numbers are supposed to come next? How do you know what number should come next? If you have a mindset, and I know if I'm not sure of anything, I'm sure that almost every single teacher has 100 chart in the classroom. So use it as best as possible. So if I have 46 here, based on patterns that we would have identified with the 100 chart, what numbers come next? What number would be green? Anyone, what number would be green? This one, let me get my
36.
36. How do we know that it is 36?
Because earlier we said that bottom up it's decreasing by 10.
Because earlier we didn't say
So
from,
the number
from bottom
directly
up,
above 46 would be
36.
is decreasing by 10. So the number directly above 46, right?
So we know that. So these are things that we don't need to tell them. These are things we want them to figure out for themselves and give you a reason as to what. We know that students, they get excited when they know the answer, and sometimes you'll be surprised. They don't know how they arrived at the answer, but we want to get into the habit of allowing them to explain what it is or how the thought process went, but helping them to explain whatever it is that they are thinking. So again, you can create your own using a face, whatever it is, just go through the process and allow them to figure it out for themselves. Now with data analysis now, you will be required to sort data based on characteristics and read, interpret, and make inferences from data presented in tables and or graphs. Quick question. How many of you would have looked at the school's publication for the students that you currently have in front of you? Would you have seen the grade 5 students publication, school's publication? Are you familiar with it? It came out with the PEP exams. When the results came out, the school got a publication. Is anyone here familiar with that?
Miss, are you talking about the math and the numeracy publications?
Yes, ma'am. You get the math, yes. No, but it's grade 6 students you have now, not true? So their publication would be grade 5. So they wouldn't have had the numeracy component, but they would have had the publication for grade 5. Have you seen it?
I'm only familiar with the ones we got recently.
What you say recently? What do you mean recently?
I think earlier this month.
Earlier this month? I don't know what you're talking about, miss. This one come out last year, man.
Give me a minute, let me see the date that is on it.
Anyone else? No, as grade 6 teachers, well, the school would have received the school's publication. The school's publication would have outlined the areas of strengths and the areas of weakness for mathematics and the different subject areas. Now, if my memory serves me right, I remember that the grade 5 students would have had some bar graph that they had to state the value of one of the bars, but based on the scale that was used, I think they were skip counting. And based on the data that was presented, I think most schools or most of the students in Region 7 had an issue interpreting what that mark was, because they were not so familiar with the scaling. So there was a challenge there for most students. So when it is that you go through the graphs with the students, ensure that you do the scale. Firstly, ensure that you are viewing the publication for the students that you have in front of you. You know what their strengths are and you know what their weaknesses are. And then that will assist you in how you move forward. So ensure that whenever the results come out, you are familiar with the students in front of you in terms of their performance in the grade 5, to fine tune what it is that you need to work on and areas that really need improvement. Now here we're going to start off with this. The weights in kilogram of 10 students are given below. Which weight is most popular? Yes, I would have stated most popular. The question states most popular, but what's another term that we can use where this is concerned? These are the questions that we want to ask the students. So if anything else comes outside of the norm, they still understand what it means. So I might not use the right terminology, but when I say popular, what does that mean? So am I talking about the median, the mean, or the mode? What is it? So you need to ask the questions to ensure that your students understand what it is that is required of them. Picture graph here. Wendy's football practice, week 1. The score, have the students reading it, accounting for what is necessary here. You also want to allow them to remember that the key is there, not just for face value, but it means something. So you don't just ignore it. So the key is there and you're supposed to use the key. So you can ask the students to tell you the number of goals scored per week. Just allow them to work it out for themselves. Whilst it is that they're working out, there's something else that is popping out here is the repeated addition, how it is that it can be represented. If I'm not going to add it, is there another approach that I could take to get my answers? So again, we're always trying to pull from the students as best as possible to get as much as we can from them. Here too, the pattern will come out here as well because we're looking at the days and we're increasing each day. So now you're asking the students now, what will happen in the 6th week? So they can give you an idea as to what, based on the progression that has been made so far, what do they expect to happen based on what has been happening so far. Whew. Now the bar graph, which statement can be concluded from the graph? 3, and you want them to look at it as best as possible. You want them to explore as best as possible. You want them to read the information as best as possible, tell you what it is that they're noticing there. Sometimes they take the information for granted and they're not paying attention to what is happening. So as best as possible, ask them the different question. How many students like apple? What is the graph representing? What is the bar showing? So ask them the different questions so they can provide the information and then they can use that as a means now to answer the question that is being asked. This one is a little bit nicer for them. It requires them to think a little bit more about this one. So the students are asked to examine the graph below and the information given in the box about the graph. So each bar in the graph represents 4 selected students' favorite candy. So the candies are gummy bear, Twizzlers, mint ball, and Bon Bon. So they're asking you to use the information provided in the graph and the box to answer the questions. So anyone know, based on the information that is here, what goes where? Which bar represents Bon Bon, which bar represents mint ball, which bar represents Twizzlers, and which bar represents gummy bear? This is where I'm asking for your assistance now.
All right, let me go. So
I don't know who is talking, but you
first
sound
bar
very robotic.
there. Gummy bear.
Mrs. Johnson Barrell, is it my connection? But the
No,
person
it's
that's
not
speaking,
yours. I
one.
think Miss Williams is having a bit of an internet challenge. It's not you.
The third one, Bun Bun, and the last. And the small, the last one are um,
Miss Williams?
She has muted herself. I think she's having
Oh,
some internet connectivity challenges, so maybe another person could share.
okay. Would someone else like to share? Because we couldn't hear anything that Miss Williams was saying.
I see all of it, miss.
Pardon me?
Can see all of the bottom part there that says Bun Bun was most like candy. Fewer students like mint ball than Twizzler. Can't see any further on that.
How come you can't see any further? Anyone having that challenge? Because there's nothing on my screen that is blocking you.
Hold
So
on,
let me
miss.
read it for you. Pardon me?
Yes,
Me too,
miss.
I'm not seeing the bottom part of the graph.
I don't know what is happening there. Mrs. Johnson Burrell, are you seeing the entire thing?
I'm seeing favorite candy dash 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 under the bars.
No,
And then
man.
I see Bon Bon was the most liked candy. First students liked mint ball than Twizzlers. More students liked gummy bear than Twizzlers.
Oh, because
I
I'm glad
can't
that my
see that
screen is
part.
clear. Okay, so let me read it for you, Mr. Williamson.
Yes.
Bon Bon was the most liked candy. Fewer students liked mint ball than Twizzlers, and more students liked gummy bear than Twizzlers.
Okay.
Townsend, you have your hand raised.
Yes, miss.
Go ahead. Oh, you sound like you're in one little hole, man. I can't hear you.
It says Bon Bon was liked by most.
Ooh, you come closer to the laptop. I'm hardly hearing you.
Are you hearing me, Mr. Edwards?
You sound far, like you're on a gully side. Hello?
Hearing?
Go ahead. Let me push my Go ahead. Let me see if I can hear you.
So based on the information in the rectangle below, Bon Bon was
Yes.
liked by most. Was it most liked candy? So the first, we know that the most liked candy was Bon Bon. So the bar that has the highest value, which is 20, would represent Bon Bon.
All right. So see Bon Bon here. Yes.
Fewer students like mint ball than Twizzlers. So for me, that did not give me adequate information. So I went to the third point. More students like gummy than Twizzlers. So gummy bear would be for the 15.
Gummy bear would be for the
15.
this one.
Twizzler represents 10 because fewer students prefer mint ball than Twizzler. So Twizzler would be 10 and the mint ball would be 5.
All right. All right. Let us see. And again, how you analyze it just now to say the second point never give you enough information, so you had to move on to the next. We want to get that from the students. Why you jump ship? You get enough information from the second point to make a decision, but you want to ensure that you have an idea as to what it is that they're doing. Again, it's not about the answer. We want to know how it is that they arrived at the answer. Too often, we see students running and they come and say, me get it, miss, me get it. How you get it? Them blank like paper. They don't know. They're clueless. So we want to ensure that we are encouraging them to process what it is whatever it is that they're doing so they can come and provide an explanation. Sometimes it's not going to be all together. Their thoughts will not be all together, and that is fine. But it's how we guide them now to get to the place that where we want them to be. Thank you. So again, which candy was preferred the least? And based on the information provided, we know that that would have been the mint ball. And then the next question is how many students liked the gummy bear? And we want to ensure that the students can see what is happening and read the bar that is there. Another thing that you can do, if you want, you can also create one that you are skip counting if they have to read to see if they are able to do that. Based on, as I said, when you get the opportunity, look at the school's publication to see if your school had that challenge as well with the information that was presented from grade 5. Now for this one, it says the graph below shows the number of oranges picked from an orange tree over a 6-year period. So again, the information is there and they're just trying to decipher based on what the information is saying, which one matches up. So which one of the following is a reasonable statement about the graph? Fewer oranges were harvested in 2002 than in 1997. Again, they have to go push up them finger, draw the line.
You know that yes, something like that.
Someone's microphone is open. I can't see who it is.
Miss Gail. Miss Gail? Miss Gail, you can go ahead and talk. We're seeing your pretty face, so you can go ahead and talk.
I don't think Miss Gail was trying to talk to us. Again, part B, more oranges were harvested in 2001 than in 1998. So you're just having the students going over and doing the method of elimination for them. Just giving you and then allow them to tell you the reason why it can't be that, but allow them to take you through the process. Now this one now, the pie chart shows the amount of 5 different kinds of nuts grown in the US each year. Now this takes in a little bit of everything. It takes in a little bit of everything, and I like this one. So look at it now. It says, here are some facts about the nuts grown. Similar to the one that was done before, but a little bit different. Most of the nuts are almonds. So we know that that one is which one? Which nut is that? E. Awesome. Second note, it says a quarter of the nuts are walnuts. Why? This is the reason I like this one. Because the students don't know what a quarter look like. And like, it's not set up nice for them. Yes, Mr. Williamson, they should know. But it is not in an ideal form for them. We could have said, all right then, if me size this up, or they don't have it in front of them for them to say, all right now, let me fix this the way here, me fold this and see if I get it. So let us see if they come up with that. Now the next one now, they said the least grown nuts are macadamias. Pretty straightforward, and that one is B. And then the last statement that says there are twice as many pistachios as macadamias grown.
That would be
so which one?
A is macadamias.
What you say?
Pistachio. A is pistachio and
pistachio.
C is macadamias.
Wait there. Let me see this one. It's who is saying supposed to be C?
Williams, Bevisha.
All right, Miss Williams, come talk to me now.
All right, so if we know that B is macadamias, and looking at the size there, even though there are no numbers, it's twice as much. I'm looking for the one that is almost look like twice the size of B. A look a little bit too big.
All right.
See.
You see that line of thought? No, you really have to pay attention to what is happening. So A, as Miss Williams rightfully said, A look a little bit too big. Because if I double up B, C, A just look like me gonna have a little bit of space leave. Mark you. They're not able to manipulate the paper. It is not in front of them. But they should, using their estimation skills, to figure out, say, no man, just like what Miss Williams said, A look a little bit too big. It looks a little bit too big. So we know that then there are twice as many pistachios as macadamia. So C would have been C would have been what? C is?
Pistachio.
Pistachio. And then the fifth nut,
Pistachio.
the fifth type of nut, thank you, is hazelnut. And we know which part that one's supposed to go. Again, this question has 2 parts. I didn't want to put all of that parts into this. That question requires the students to do some calculations, but because that's not the focus here, I did not add that one to it. But this one is a little bit more straightforward than the one that would have been done before, because that is it for this one. So this is the end of the presentation that you'll take your students through. I can add the other parts of the macadamias, but it requires percentage. That's why I did not add that one to it. But I can share it with you. So at the end of it, you can go ahead and